Well, it's travel day.
It is travel day. So, well, it's not travel day. It's the night before travel day, which is when our travel day starts. This is a collaboration video with all of our friends. We're all talking about our travel day routine. Stick around. Okay, so we're down here at South Beach State Park down in the Central Oregon coast, and we're leaving tomorrow, and checkout time isn't till
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Yep.
But our travel day routine starts the night before, always. Unless, of course, we've had too much bourbon. But our travel day always starts the night before, where we start wrapping things up. Especially an outing like this one, when we went full setup.
Right, because we have the clam that's up. We've got all the chairs out.
Right. So we're going to take you through our routine. It won't be step by step, but we'll cover the highlights of what we do during travel day. And the first thing that we do the night before is get the rig cleaned on the inside, get things stowed away so that we only have what we need in the morning. And that makes it easier to start putting everything else away. So Teresa's going to start buttoning stuff up in here tonight, while I get everything from the outside that we don't need for tomorrow put away. And that starts with the clamshell. Okay, so all the outdoor furniture is put away. The clam is put away. All we have to do tomorrow is break down the fence for the dogs, put the rug away, and pretty much, you know, take care of all the utility stuff. And we're pretty much ready to go on the outside. So we have a recycling bin, and Teresa's going to get the dishes done. And that way we have the gray tank that's going to be full for us to dump in the morning from the sink. And the kitchen will get all wrapped up. And then anything that we're really not using tonight, that'll all get put away. All right, so it is travel day, and it's time to go out and finish the outside. For me, while I'm outside, Teresa will be wrapping up the inside. And really, for wrapping up, it just means sweeping, making sure that nothing is under the slide outs when we bring those in. We know we're heading back into the valley, so we got to go through the Coast Range, and we know what those roads are like. So we kind of plan on the route also. The last thing that we'll turn off is the refrigerator, and we don't leave it running while we're going down the road. And we're only 2 hours from home, so yeah. So that's gonna pretty much wrap up the inside wall. So as I'm doing the tire pressure, making sure that the tires are all set, while I'm down here, I take the X shocks out and I do a visual inspection of underneath the slide outs because I don't come under here that often. Just checking, making sure that there's nothing ripped or broken or hanging or anything that looks out of the ordinary. So I popped in here because the wind's picking up. You can't hear me out there. But one thing that we find that is the key to travel day is that everything has a place. And everything goes back in its place. And that way, when we get to our next destination, or we get back to home base like we're doing today, everything will be exactly where it is supposed to be. And you don't forget anything either. We use a checklist, and when everything goes back in its place and you use the checklist, you don't forget stuff. So we will be hitting the dump station. So we try to use as much water as we can, especially in the toilets. That way we get a really good flush when we get to the dump station. That's a pro tip. Here's a pro tip for you. If you tell the dogs that we're going somewhere, you got to go, because she's holding the leash and she's ready to go. So once we get to the point where we're pulling in slides, we always start with the bedroom slide, because we work from the back all the way out to the front. So the bedroom slide comes in, and then we do the living room slides. And once they come in, everything's pretty much buttoned up there except for the internet. We don't turn it off until right before we leave. The next slide that'll come in will be the kitchen. And then the last slide that comes in is the dining room slide, because that is the slide that we need so that we can access everything in here. Once we get everything buttoned up, we still have access to the refrigerator, but that's pretty much it. And one of Teresa's responsibilities right before we pull in the last of the slides is to make sure that we have snacks and drinks and whatnot for the road. So we can't stress enough the importance of routine. And whether that is using checklist or whatever, make sure that you have a good routine so that you don't forget stuff. And, you know, when we changed rigs, we had to change our routine.
Right, because there's a lot more to do on this one.
And one of the big things is trash. Because once we pull in the kitchen slide, you can't access the trash can anymore. So, you know, we add that to our list of things to do. Make sure that you dump trash. And leaving stuff like that at the campground is always better than, you know, bringing it with you. So, trash and all that stuff. And then the...
You keep going like this in my face.
And then the last thing about routine that we would say is that if you have a good routine, it just takes the pressure off of you that you didn't forget something, or you don't, you know, make a mistake while you're hooking up, or...
Because if you think you're in a hurry and you're like, oh, come on, let's go, and whoever does the checking misses something,
right,
it might not be a good thing. Yeah,
so I was, for a while there, I was putting pool noodles on the slide out. I've changed that to these little lights now because it basically serves the same purpose. You don't hit your head because the lights are hanging there. But the first time that we did that, and we had never had slide outs like this before, Teresa pulled the slide outs in with the pool noodles in. So we had not communicated of what we had done, and I'm sorry about that, you know, about the pool noodles. So now we check before we pull in the slide outs. And in certain situations like today, I stood outside while one of the slide outs went in because we had a weird branch there. So super important that you have a good routine and that you communicate. One thing that's helped us is we label all of our slide outs, so we know which ones need to go in and out. And we're about to do the dining room. And the last thing we do in here is turn off the refrigerator, and we are good to go. Make sure that all the switches are off. Okay, so we at the park that we're at, they have one dump station with one hole. And so you need to plan that into your travel day routine if you need to dump, which we need to dump, because I don't like carrying the extra weight. You figure 8 pounds per gallon of fluid starts adding up. So
yeah, even though we can dump when we get home, the weight's just not worth it.
Yeah, for a 2-hour drive, save a little bit of gas, that with diesel, whatever. But here's a little bit of a rant. If you're at a park that has one dump station with one dump, just dump your stuff and go. It's not time to do a black tank flush. It's not time for you to clean your tanks. It's time for you to get rid of your shit and get out. End of rant. So the last thing that we do for travel day is upload and refresh and make sure that all the apps are running. We love to use the Windy app, and we use the Road Tripper app. And with the Road Tripper app, we plug in all of our itinerary for our travel, and then we use the to-go RV GPS, and that makes sure that we're staying away from weird roads that we can't get down, weird overpasses that we can't get under, and all that stuff. Plug that in with the Road Tripper itinerary. You can launch that in your Apple Maps or your Google Maps, and that goes into the truck, and then we hit the road. So that is our process. We hope this video kind of helped you out with what we do, how we do it in not a detailed manner. But if you have any questions, go ahead and drop a question or a comment in the comment section below. And don't forget to check out all the other videos in this collaboration. Don't forget to welcome Ken to the collaboration. His video is new to the show, and we will see you next week.